It's amazing. We are creators, and accepting that the magnitude of that statement is really a life project. It's really a life project to embrace, to just allow that to be as true as it actually is, and to find our way to download, as you're saying, to embody, as I'm saying, that principle into real life choices and feelings about self and ways that we engage in life. It allows us to set ourselves free. Welcome back to the Art of Awakening podcast, where the art of living awake becomes a daily practice. I'm your host, Dr. Sue Morter, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you today. I'm always thrilled to be here with you today, always bringing forward innovative conversations and deep reaching exchanges that allow us to find a true meaning of life and to bring it up and out sooner rather than later, so that we're living our true authentic selves, empowered to heal and to generate a life that we truly love living. And today I am joined by a true pioneer. I'll share with you a little bit about him on a professional level, and then, of course, there's more to say. Um, he is a pioneer in bridging science and spirituality, which is something that I am very devoted to as well. Dr. Bruce Lipton, stem cell biologist and one of the founding voices of epigenetics in our world. And Dr. Bruce's research rewrote what we thought we knew about genes and destiny and what was possible for us. And for decades, he's been showing the world that we are not victims of our biology, that we are creators of it. And his brand new book, which we will get to share about today, is called Beyond Darwin. How epigenetics and quantum science and cooperation shape humanity's future. It's coming out this August, and it is a science-backed, of course, vision of conscious evolution. And Dr. Bruce was generous enough to write the foreword for my new book, The Anatomy of Awakening. And I just want to say that he has also been a dear friend of the family for decades. In terms of my first introduction to Dr. Bruce, he was just coming out of, the traditional educational model, because he was knowing things that, the walls around him could no longer contain. And he was breaking out into a world where people were interested in what role beliefs and thoughts and the energies of our intentions and our come from play in our ability to self-heal and to generate the life that we love living and to truly activate creative genius. And Dr. Bruce came into an audience seminar that my father was putting on years ago, and decades ago, I guess we can say. And we kind of wouldn't let him talk. We were just applauding every other sentence. It was just that. There was so much scientific validation going on from the things and the research that my father was presenting, and all of it was just coming together in the most beautiful of ways. And I get the great joy of working with Bruce now in programs that we do together and bringing him here in our podcast for you here today. Bruce, welcome. It's such a thrill to have you here.
Sue, I am so happy to be here. And let me just let the audience know something. The chaos is all over the world at this moment, and it's reflecting something very big, which we may talk about, and that is civilization is facing an evolutionary upheaval at this time. The significance here is that knowledge is power to get through this. And this is why I want to acknowledge Dr. Shu as a very important cultural creative, one who is bringing knowledge to the forefront to help us all evolve. So I am honored to be here with Dr. Shu because her work is fundamental to our evolution. And I'm also honored to be here with you, the audience. Why? Well, we're all the participants in an evolution. And if you have no knowledge of it, uh, it's not going to help because with knowledge comes personal self empowerment, which is what Dr. Sue has been offering you for years. So
Mm,
I am honored to be here for Dr. Sue and for you. Thank you.
mm, beautiful. a match made in heaven, all of this today. So thank you all for joining us. And we're going to dive into some, I'm sure, what will become beautiful and inspirational and informative content in our exchange. It's been 20 years since the biology, can you believe this? 20 years since the biology of belief first came out. Dr. Bruce's book of 20 years ago that really put personal development into a whole new world. It was just a whole opening of the doorways into another reality. And in that, he wrote about epigenetics, where epigenetics, because of his research, became a body of work that moved from the fringe science into a household word. And in that, what we recognized was there was something more important than our genetic inheritance that was going to play out in our lives. That just because our mother had this thing or our father had this thing does not mean that we have to have this thing. And even if it goes back multiple generations, it's simply it has been shut down in terms of the impact that that was having on our beliefs about our potential and what was possible for us in this life. And so, um, you know, Dr. Bruce, what's it like experiencing the world finally catching up to where you already were, 20 years ago?
I'm very excited by it because that means people are taking back personal power over their own lives and not looking at themselves as victims, as you mentioned, of heredity. As a matter of fact, less than 1% of all disease is even connected to genetics. 90% of disease is one thing: stress. And as we mentioned earlier, uh, the world is invested with stress at this moment as it seems to be falling apart at every level: social, economic, religious, racial, even gender stress is hitting us at this time. And the reality is, while we're looking at all those little fires, so to speak, there's a bigger picture behind it. And that bigger picture simply is this: we as a civilization are not sustainable. And what does that mean? I say a fact of science that to support today's civilization requires the resources of 1.6 planets. Now, mathematically, we have one planet. So when
Yeah.
you subtract that, we're left over with where are we getting the extra zero point 0.6 resources? And the answer, unfortunately, is destroying the ecosystem, destroying the web of life, undermining the natural geography of the entire planet. We're so affecting geology and geography that scientists refer to this age as the anthropomorphic, or I might have that right, anthro somebody. The idea is that human behavior is altering the geology of the planet. We're
Mm.
undermining it. We're removing resources at the cost of destabilizing the web of life. We're losing species of organisms faster than in history, 1,000 times faster than background loss of species. Now, you go, why is this important? The point is, we have to recognize we are an element of the garden. We evolved from the garden. Relevance is simple. If we destroy the garden, then we are no longer capable of surviving on this planet. And this is what we're facing right now. There is a self-destruction process going here, and we're actually undermining our own existence. So the point is what? We can't keep doing what we're doing. It's not sustainable. Fact of life. So it says what? Things have to change. Things? Yeah, the foundation of civilization. I go, why? Because the civilization we're in right now, the foundation of it is so rotten to the core that it's not repairable. There's no Band-Aid I can put on today's civilization to bring back the vitality to this planet. So the point is simple. Civilization as we know it is failing and must collapse. And science has recognized a very important fact about this, and that is that according to scientific research, civilization is facing, and I emphasize this word, an irreversible collapse within 10 to 20 years. I go, why emphasize irreversible? The idea that things will go back and be better is like, that's a false dream. It wasn't that good in the back when we take it apart and look at it. We're facing issues we didn't deal with for a long time, like the Me Too generation, where women are finally coming back to have power in the unfolding of the world, becoming less than a second class citizen back here.
Mm.
Men and women are co producers of the world in which we live. The fact that race issues are showing up is because we've ignored them in the past. And there's something very important here, and that is this. All humans come from the same source, meaning while we look at religion as separating us, yes, religions have been fighting each other for millennia. We look at racial conflict as one race against another race. We look at national conflict, separation again. I say, what does all this represent? And here's what it represents. We, as people, only have power in community. If there's no community, none of us have any power. I mean, Sue and I could go out in the world and say, come on, let's help change the world. But if it's just the two of us, nothing's going to happen. We need everyone, but that's called community. And the powers to be have been aware of the fact that if you break community, then the people have no power. And this is where we are, unfortunately, right now. And this is why it's so important that Sue's work and my work come to the forefront because it's all about emphasizing you as personally empowered individuals that are creators. Each of us, if you think about it, is a creator, meaning we're creating our lives. Very interesting point there. I said, well, if I look at all of us as creators, then I say, then the concept of God takes on a different understanding, a different insight. We are expressions of God, each one of us. Each one of us has a divine intervention. And the significance about that is we keep looking outside for the power when we have had it on the inside except for the programming. And I'll take a break here after I mention this fact. For 400 years, the Jesuits have told their followers, give me a boy until it is 7, and I will show you the man. I say they have told the fundamental understanding of life to their followers for 400 years, and people haven't really understood the meaning of it. And the fact is simple. All of us have been programmed for the first 7 years of our lives, and that 95% of our life is not coming from our wishes and our desires. 95% of our lives is a direct printout of our program. So the point that the Jesuits were making is, give me the boy for 7 years. Yeah, the program period. If I program them, then guess what? 95% of their life is the program. That means when you subtract the 95 from the 100, that gives us 5% of our life is coming from our conscious, creative mind, the one that has our wishes and desires. So we're not living our lives. We have been living the life of our programmers.
Beautiful. So, the first thing that rushes into my mind when you're talking about 5% and 95%, and just to recap what you're saying is that 5% of us is operating from our creative conscious mind, that we're really engaging our faculties, our gifts, our capacity to generate and create and be what we would choose to be. And the other 95% is based upon what we've been through, what people have told us, what we absorbed, what we believed, what we saw, what we witnessed, etc. And it's interesting because in the study of the electron cloud, 5% of the time, the electron leaves the electron cloud in its regular orbit and disappears. And then it reappears from another direction in an unpredictable time, but it is always this 95%, 5% ratio. So only 95% of the time are we really subject to our programming. 5% of the time, we have an ability to go out, to travel, to exchange in the cosmos and gather information, energies, and bring it back into our own field and have an imprint that is constantly evolving us. And if we keep that conscious, things change. Things begin to change. So, what a fascinating thing. When you gave that percentage, it just reminds me of research that about this whole orbit of the subatomic particles and what we're really comprised of and what we're capable of. So, just for a minute here, Dr. Bruce, for listeners that are maybe new to your work, what was the moment that got you really opening to breaking through the barriers of your own programming and your own deep education inside of the work that you were doing? What happened that allowed you to open a door? Because I think that when people hear about your personal experience of opening up to, something that truly changed our humanity, it might help them do the same in their own lives.
Well, first of all, thank you for that information about 5% of the electron letting go of the physical realm
Yeah.
and then coming in from outside, because I believe it's exactly the same with our conscious mind. Let go of this physical thing you have here and start manifesting from a new vision when you come back in. That's the intention. Whole life changed. I was a professor in a medical school and teaching students about the conventional curriculum that genes control our lives. That's almost every one of you have been programmed to believe a process called genetic determinism, which simply means genes determine the character of your life. So that we've always looked at ourselves as, well, powerless. I go, what do you mean? I said, well, as far as we know, we didn't pick the genes. If we don't like the character, we can't change the genes. And then add that you're also programmed to believe that genes turn on and off by themselves. Then all of a sudden, it does come to us a thing. We are victims of our heredity. We don't control it, it controls us. And unfortunately, there's a character of victim, which means powerless. And I go, why is that important? Because if you are powerless, you will pay anybody to recover that power. And unfortunately, when it comes to health, and we see ourselves as powerless, we look forward to the help from the pharmaceutical company that says, yeah, you are broken, and we have chemistry that will fix you. And then we, give our lives over to the prescriptions from this company. A little sidebar: over 300,000 US citizens die every year from prescription drugs. Now, about less than 100,000 are involved with illegal drugs. 3 times as many people die from pharmaceutical drugs, and we have a war on illegal drugs. When it comes to pharmaceuticals, they stand back and say, "That's the cost of doing medicine." I go, "That's a damn expensive cost the way I see it." And so we have bought into a belief of our powerless. So I'm teaching in the medical school Genes Control Life, the thing I just mentioned. And I'm also researching something called stem cells. Now, stem cells have become a big thing in this day and age. Let me give you the accurate name of stem cell. Ready? Embryonic cell. I go, well, why didn't we call it embryonic cell? I said, it was before you were born. Once you were born, you're not an embryo. We changed the name, stem cell. Why have stem cells? Why have embryonic cells in my body? Here's a fact that could blow your mind if you think about it. Every second, 3.5 million of your cells die. 3.5 million cells die. 3.5 million cells die. 3.5 million cells die. Staggering. But
Yeah.
here's the issue. We're still here no matter all the cells are dying. I go, well, how? Because mixed in with the 50 trillion cells that make up a body are cells called stem cells, embryonic cells. Their job is to replace the dying cells. So they can do all those different functions. Well, I was, saying cloning stem cells uh, 49 years ago uh, in the lab. And I said, what does that mean? Cloning. It means I put one stem cell in a petri dish all by itself. It divides every 10 or 12 hours. So first there's one, then there's two, then there's four, then there's eight, population doubling. At the end of the week, 30,000 cells are in the petri dish. I go, yeah, but what's unique? I go, they all came from one parent. That means I have 30,000 genetically identical cells. Then what? I split the cells into three petri dishes, 10,000 cells in each dish. And then I grow cells in a fluid called culture medium. I go, what does it represent? Profoundly important, you ready? The laboratory version of blood.
And
So if I grow human cells, I said, what's human blood made out of? And in the lab, I mix it all together and make culture medium. Well, I can change some of the chemistry. That's what I did in my experiment. I made three versions of chemistry for culture medium, slight change in chemistry. Okay? Culture medium is the environment in which the cells live. Okay? Three dishes. In culture dish A, environment A, okay, the cells form muscle. In culture dish B, again, 10,000 genetically identical cells, a different environment, B, the cells form bone. And in the third petri dish, with again genetically identical cells but a different environment, C, the cells form fat cells. In my lab, I'm going, wait a minute, what is controlling these cells? They were all genetically the same. It was the environment that was different. And all of a sudden, it's like I'm teaching in the school conventional curriculum. Genes control life, and the lab experiments have revealed to me that was totally false, that the cell's fate was controlled by the environment in which they live. So I had trouble because the curriculum is not controlled by me. A little sidebar, the curriculum in medical school is totally influenced by pharmaceutical industry interests. In other words, if healing is involved and it's taught in medical school, it's always connected to buying a drug. But what about healing without drugs? I go, it's not a topic. So doctors are programmed to deal with disease by selling a drug. Doctors have unconsciously become drug dealers, if you think about it. Okay. Well, the point about all this is the world that we were buying into, I saw was different. And then I said, yeah, but here's the connection that then blew my mind. And I go, the human body is a skin-covered petri dish. Underneath our skin, 50 trillion cells in the dish.
right.
Yeah, and it has the original culture medium, blood. So the blood chemistry is controlling genetics. The chemistry is above the genes in control. Epi is the term above. That's why we call skin epidermis, because just underneath the skin is a layer called dermis. Skin is above the dermis, therefore it's called epidermis. Hence, epigenetics is control above the genes, which I now saw was the environment. Okay? Now I say, what's the connection? Your body, skin-covered dish, 50 trillion cells, original culture medium. But it's the chemistry of the culture medium that influences the fate of the cells. I go, yes, it is. And I say, the brain is the chemist that puts the chemistry into the blood. And then comes the most important question of all. So, what chemistry should the brain be putting into the blood? And the answer is whatever picture you hold in your mind, that picture is translated by the brain into complementary chemistry. There's a chemistry of love, there's a chemistry of fear, there's a chemistry of anger. I go, all of a sudden I said, then wait a minute. My mind's vision is manifesting through the brain the chemistry that controls my genetics. And all of a sudden, I said, oh my God, our consciousness is controlling our genetics. And that was like so profound. There was a point where I realized I had to leave the medical school. Why? Because in all honesty, I couldn't go back in the classroom and tell the medical students that life is controlled by genes, because it's 100% false. It's
Yeah.
controlled by our consciousness.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that led to a whole new biology. It says, rather than trying to adjust my genes with the chemistry of pharmaceuticals, I can adjust my biology by changing my mind. And every time you change your mind, you change your genetics, your behavior, and the character of your life. And the whole difference is genetic determinism, victim. The new science, epigenetics, master. That you must begin to recognize what you think is controlling the character of your life, the internal biology, the external behavior, all coming from here. You are a creator, not a victim. But as we were discussing earlier, if your creation is coming from the subconscious mind, that's the mind with programs. The subconscious is the habit mind. Okay? Now, not all habits are bad. When did you learn how to walk? Before
Right.
you before you were two. Do you have to learn how to walk every day when you wake up? I go, no. I have a program. Driving a car. Interesting fact. If you are thinking about what you're going to do when you get to the store while driving, the conscious mind is then in a moment of creativity and not paying attention to the road. I go, where's all that mean? It comes down as simply as this. The conscious mind, imagine your body as a vehicle. Your conscious mind, your eyes are looking out the windshield of the vehicle. And as you're driving this vehicle through life, your conscious mind, watching the universe around, will take you to wishes and desires. That's where I'm going, okay? But the conscious mind can think. I go, well, what does that mean? I go, thinking is not looking out. Thinking is looking in. A thought is on the inside. The moment you are thinking, you are no longer paying attention to the outer environment. What if you're driving a car and you're thinking about what you're going to buy at the store? I go, at that moment, the conscious mind's not driving a car, but hey, the car is driving beautifully, going the right speed limit, you didn't hit anybody, everything is normal. How can that be? I go, and this is the whole thing that Sue and I have been working on for years, and that is this. The moment you were thinking, the control went to the subconscious programming, the subconscious autopilot. What you're not paying attention to, the subconscious will run. The subconscious knows how to drive the car. Why? It's a habit. You taught it how to drive the car. So as the conscious mind is thinking, the subconscious is driving the car. Well, then all of a sudden, your life is now being driven by the program, not by the conscious wishes and desires. And the thinking process, 95% of the day, means simply your life is 95% derived from the habits and programs in your subconscious mind. And the problem, most of those programs came from other people. They don't have your wishes and desires in those programs. And if they had a defect in their programming and you were a child in that family, you downloaded the defect in the first 7 years. So you are carrying the family. I just thought of the word plague. The family plague is being carried by the first 7 years where your mind is downloading programs. Sidebar. Why am I downloading programs? The brain is a computer. It's not like a computer. This is the most fabulous computer humans have ever experienced. And the little we know about it, because we sure don't know the full functioning of it. The significance is simply this, is that as a computer, it functions the same as your desktop computer. And I go, what's important? I said, in the old days, we would buy a computer. It didn't come with programs built in. So I say, oh, in those days, you buy the brand new computer, spend all this money, plug it in, push start, it boots up, the screen's up, and then I say, do something. And you would say, I can't do anything. I said, you got a brand new computer. No, not until I put programs in the computer can I access the computer. So nature designs the first 7 years of a child's life. The brain is not functioning at the level of consciousness. It's a vibration lower than consciousness. It's functioning in theta, which is imagination. This is why kids under 7 have imaginary friends, live in an imaginary world. I always bring up the famous tea party. You poured nothing into the cup, you drank nothing, and you exclaim that was the best tea you ever had in your life. And I go, aha! That is an example of theta imagination. And then I add this theta is hypnosis. So the significance is this: you can download a program as an infant. You can't read the book. You can't go to school. How you get the programs? Watch. Observe your mother, your father, your community, and by observing them, you'll download their behavior, and then that becomes your program. Now, personally, my mother and father had a very dysfunctional relationship. I go, so what? I'm a kid. I'm downloading my father's behavior. I'm watching. Little did I know I was downloading dysfunctional relationship program. I go, but I did realize after 40 years of not finding a relationship, I realized, oh my God, my program is sabotaging me. And with that awareness, my belief was wrong. I reprogrammed that programming, and for 30 years, I'm so happy to acknowledge, for 30 years, I have been in a honeymoon relationship with my partner, Margaret. I go, why is that important? I say, I wake up every day going, hey, I'm still here. Hey, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm so excited to be alive. If you're not waking up that way, there's a problem. If you're waking up, "Oh, I gotta go to the job. Oh, I have a responsibility," so you're missing something very important. I want Sue to bring up something, but first I'll close with this little thought. Most of you have seen the movie called The Matrix. It's listed as science fiction. I don't know. The Matrix is a documentary. Huh?
Yeah,
You
I
know
agree.
why? I said, "What is the premise?" The premise is we were all programmed. I go, "Oh, that's a scientific reality. All of us got programmed. That's a fact." But the part that is most exciting is that in the movie, if you take the red pill, you get out of the program. It doesn't really explain the joy of doing that, but I can let you know the joy of the red pill because almost every one of you has taken that red pill at least once with the most profound change in your life. Oh, yes, let me tell you when it was. Your life was going blah, 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 and you met someone and you fell in love. 24 hours later, you have a different life.
Yeah.
24 hours later, you are beginning a honeymoon. I say, what is the honeymoon? Heaven on earth. You were in love, and everything was beautiful. Everything was wonderful. From blah, blah, blah to everything wonderful. Why? Falling in love? Science will tell you that when you fell in love, you stopped playing programs. You started to stay mindful or being self-aware or conscious, and all of a sudden, then the programs weren't running your life. At that moment, your wishes and desires, conscious mind, the creative mind, ran your life. And when you had the freedom of self-creation, you manifested heaven on earth. And so let me just conclude with that insight. Heaven on earth exists all the time. It's your programming that has taken you away from that and put you into a place of victimization and being powerless and looking at a world that is upside down and thinking that is normal. When in reality, what was normal was the time you fell in love and manifested heaven. And this is the message I've been trying to offer. This is exactly what Dr. Sue has been putting her career into action, providing you with that knowledge as well.
Mm, mm. It's this whole the love chemistry, the vibration, the consciousness associated with it, all of what we know about what love does is transmuting and alchemizing all aspects of our efforts to truly step into, breaking free from the program, really not needing the program in order to know who we are, not needing the program in order to exist as we've perceived ourselves to be limited in this way. It's it is the be all end all frequency as far as I'm concerned. This the power of love to transform our ability to think differently, operate differently, etc. So I'm going to talk about your new book, Beyond Darwin. Tell us about what's happening here in terms of where it's going beyond where we were with the biology of belief. How could people put that in context for,
Yeah.
uh,
Um, Darwinian theory has been around since 1849, and uh, everyone is aware of it, even if they never went to school. My father never went to school, but he was aware that civilization was a dog eat dog world, that competition to go out there and survive, the struggle for life. I say that was built into Darwinian theory. There are two parts to the theory that are 100% false, but they're the foundation of the theory. Number one, heredity is the basis of evolution. The idea that with more genes, we become more complex and more powerful. And as you go up the evolutionary tree from simple organisms up to human, there's more and more and more genes to express the character. Before the project called the Human Genome Project, it was thought that humans would have an excess of 100,000 genes to make an organism as complex as us. So the Human Genome Project gets off the ground. And in the end, it turns out humans have 22,000 genes. Well, besides, I would love to say, besides being the scientists were red-faced, being caught with their genes down, the fact is very simple, is uh, 22,000 genes is about the same number of genes the most primitive organisms on this planet have. So all of a sudden, the idea of equating genes with evolution, 100% false. We, we don't have the number of genes anywhere near what was anticipated. So, looking at genetic determinism, a failure, but is a fundamental element of Darwinian theory. So Darwin was wrong. Evolution wasn't based on genes getting more and more complex. That's all completely wrong. But the more important failure of the theory is a belief that was predicated on a philosophy at the time thought to be real, now found to be 100% false, a philosophy from a philosopher by the name of Thomas Malthus. I go, who's he? Well, in 1798, he published research that said plants don't grow or reproduce as fast as animals reproduce. I go, so what? Well, if you're looking at plants as the food source, it has a very slow reproduction rate, but animals have a doubling rate. And so if you look at the evolution of plants growing and animals reproducing, animals will out-reproduce the available food, which then led Malthus to conclude that life is a struggle for a competition of who's going to get the food when there's too many organisms. So life now is a struggle based on competition. So we built that into our philosophy of worldview, that life is built on competition, that we're all out there struggling because of what? The belief that there's not enough. And the fact is, Malthus' philosophy, 100% false. Animals and plants stabilize to each other. The number of animals stabilizes to the number of plants available, so that there's no upward growth of animals so fast that there are animals without food. Okay, so that whole idea of struggle is gone. And I say, well, the summary of Darwinian theory is survival of the fittest in the struggle for life. Well, take struggle out. Now we're left with survival of the fittest. Now here's a factor. The word fit, F-I-T, simply means capable of surviving. Anyone who's fit, by definition, is capable of surviving. But he didn't say survival of the fit. He said survival of the fittest. I go, well, wait, what does that mean? I say, there's a gradient of fitness. There's a group that just plain fit. There's a group that is more fit than the others. And then there's a group called the fittest, which has more fitness than all the rest of them. Darwin didn't say survival of the fit. He said survival of the fittest. I go, what does that represent? Victorian England, the background for Darwinian theory, had upper class, lower class. And the emphasis was that evolution was based on the upper class, the fittest, and that's the fit not really relevant. As a matter of fact, there was too many of the fit, and the whole idea was to eliminate the population below the fittest. Okay, and there are many ways to do that: disease, famine, war. These all became practical insights of how we can reduce that ever-growing population of humans. Okay, well, the fact is this: is that uh, the survival of the fittest, Victorian England, upper class counts, lower class doesn't, is here today. But it's not birthright determining the fittest, it's the amount of money. I go, money? I go, yeah. Money is the expression of energy. It's a tangible form of energy. You have money, you have energy to do what you want. You got no money, you have no energy. Okay? So the point about it is what? Well, today, the fittest is represented by the 1%. It's actually a lot less than the 1%. I say why? Because they own more of the resources of this planet than the 99%. They own more than half of the resources of this planet. It's a little tiny group, the fittest. And now we're in survival mode, struggle. I say, why? There's only less than half the planetary resources available after the 1% took theirs. And we have 99% of the population struggling to get their piece out of the small leftover amount of resources. So we're back into a survival of the fittest mode, struggling in competition where you have enough. Where you have enough to buy food, where you have enough to pay your rent, where you have enough to pay medical care, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden we start to see, no, there's not enough. And I say, then what? Struggle. And all of a sudden I go, oh my God, we're living in a Darwinian nightmare, starting with the fact life is not a struggle. Life is harmony and balance. I go, what do you mean? I go, we came from the garden. The definition of garden is the height of cooperation. A garden is a community. Every organism, be it an animal, an insect, a plant, in that garden is working in harmony to manifest garden. Okay? We, on the other hand, as humans, have come into the garden with the idea of competitive struggle and have undermined the garden. We're destroying the garden. I go, why is that important? Because we evolved from the garden. Now, biblical insights, Genesis said, oh no, God created the garden and then added the humans, and that we were separate from the garden. And, oh, he endowed us with, oh, we have dominion over the garden. And how's that working out? I said, we're destroying the garden under our own feet. We're making a war where there should be harmony. And the issue is, well, where's the problem? I go, Native Americans understood this because in their philosophy, they recognized the garden and then they recognized themselves as gardeners in that garden. And we are far from being gardeners, my friends. We are pillaging the garden. We're destroying it under our feet. Not sustainable. Can we fix the situation? Nope, it's corrupt from the bottom. What does it mean? A new civilization. Civilizations have ended in the past. Doesn't mean everybody dies. It just means we move into a different way of life. The Roman civilization ended. We moved into a different way of life. Well, we cannot fix the existing situation. Buckminster Fuller, the futurist, gave us the insight. He said, don't go into the existing situation and try to change it.
Mm.
Step
I love
outside, build a new civilization, and the people will follow you.
Mhm.
Dr. Sue, bless you because you have been laying the groundwork, the foundation of how do we create that new civilization because that is the light of the future, a new civilization from all
Yes.
of us listening.
Mm. We have to have a different reference point, and it has to be from the inside out. It can't be from, moving around the pieces on the chessboard. It has to be really starting a different game altogether. And so we're teaching people how to do that every day inside of the coursework and on this podcast and that kind of thing. Bruce, what would you, and thank you for your rich compliments during this conversation. It's deeply meaningful, and I just love you so much. Um, what would you suggest for people to be able to find the space deep inside that allows them the courage and the wherewithal and to figure out how to put words and meaning and imagery to the energies that are moving through them in such a way that they can start creating their own universe, inviting other people in. I say it that way because that's what I said I was going to do 25 years ago, and that's exactly what I've done. And so I know that it's possible, and I share my ideas with people all the time, but I'd love to hear from you. What do you suggest that people do to move from this deeper place of solution that humanity must tap into and live from in order to, manifest this principle that you are highlighting in your new book?
I think the most important thing is now that we recognize 95% of our life is coming from the program, we have to identify what are the programs that are undermining us and then have an opportunity to rewrite those programs so that 95% of the day when I am coming from subconscious programs, those programs will now support me rather than undermine me. I go, well, here's the point. Over 60% of the programs we have downloaded are disempowering, self sabotaging, and contain limiting beliefs. So the idea is this: our programs are undermining us. I go, oh, well, I would see if I was playing the program. I go, that now, ladies and gentlemen, is the problem. I go, why? Why are you playing the program? Because the conscious mind's not looking out, it's looking in. And then I said, well, then guess what? You do not see your own programming. Everyone else sees your programming, but you don't. Why? Because you're playing the program because you're not paying attention. And then I say, yeah, but 60% of those programs are sabotaging you. So during the day, you are undermining your own wishes and desires with programs that are self sabotaging. Well, here comes a problem. Number one, you don't see your own programming, so all you perceive is victim. Oh, I wanted to be healthy. I wanted a great relationship. I want a good job, and it's not working. Those people are responsible, and we blame people without recognizing we were the ones that initiated their behavior with the programs we played, and we didn't see we were playing them.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, for years, I told a very simple story, same one, can't find a better one. And that is this: you have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, you happen to know your friend's parent, and you see your friend has the same behavior as the parent, and you volunteer. Hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. Back away from Bill.
Yeah, right. Bill does not want to hear that.
Because I can tell you what Bill's going to say, and you know, because Bill said, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And I go, interesting point. Everybody else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. It's only Bill who cannot see that. Now, here comes, ready for this? Hold on. We are all Bill.
Right.
We are doing this every day. We're playing programs, self sabotaging. Do not see we're playing these programs, respond to the lack of power of being a victim, when in fact we were the ones that were playing the sabotaging program. So now I have an issue about it. I said, well, your program. And then all of a sudden, my program? I go, tell me the program you got because the programming started 3 months before you were born. What programming did you get before you were born? Oh, wait, you were programmed a whole year from 0 to 1. Tell me the program you got when you were 2 months old. No. Okay, you were programmed another year from 1 to 2, a whole year. Tell me the program. Nope. Bottom line, most of us have no conscious awareness of the program because the programs were installed before consciousness was even engaged. So now we're in a bind. Your programs are sabotaging you. What the hell are the programs? So I give you a little advice at this moment, simply this. Look at your life right now. Recognize 95% of it is the program. And then I say this. The things you like that come into your life, well, they come in because you have programs to acknowledge those things. But, and this is the one, the things you work hard to do, the things that stress you, that you put effort into, I'm sweating over it, I'm going to make it, I'm working to make it happen. Why are you working so hard for that destination? And the answer is simple. The program you got downloaded with doesn't support that destination, and you're trying to overwrite the program with effort. I go, ha, not going to happen, folks. That's not the way it works. All it will do is frustrate you, put you in a bind of stress, trying to accommodate what your program won't let you have. And therefore, the first thing is, what are you struggling over? Why? If you know it's the program, then you know there's an approach where you can rewrite the program. And then I come to a very simple thing. What if you made the programs in your subconscious the same as the wishes and desires of the conscious mind? If the programs match the conscious wishes, then you know what would happen? Well, when you were being conscious, you would be creating the world you like, but when you were thinking 95% of the day, the programs would now also make the world that you would like. And all of a sudden I say, then you would never leave the honeymoon. Then you would never leave the reality of heaven on earth and own this simple reality, because to me is most important, is that you have also been programmed to believe, well, if you have a very good life and live according to the rules of so and so, when you die, you can go to heaven. I go, boy, what a waste of your life. You know why? You were born into heaven. What do you mean? What do you think this body is all about? It's a manifestation mechanism. It's a device to take a vision and manifest it as a reality. That's why we have this fabulous body. You were born into heaven. And you say, but it doesn't look like heaven. I say, no, that's your programming. You are manifesting other than heaven by your beliefs and your downloads and what you acquired. But you also recognize when you let go of the program, you did manifest heaven. And so having a body is the instrument that adds the power to consciousness, to spirit that says, if I can drive this system with my spirit, I can manifest heaven on earth. I say, you've already been doing that at times, okay? So the idea of waiting till you die, I said, man, this is a garden. And if you focus on the news and the media and the corporate interests, they will take away your power because they only make money when you see yourself as a victim, because then you will buy what you need to get your power back, okay? And there's something other important point here. And it blew me away because I didn't believe in spirituality. I thought it was genes. We're here, we're dead, we're dust, we come back, you know. I now recognize, because of quantum physics, and this is Dr. Seuss Foundation very much, quantum physics is the science that everything is energy. I go, everything? What about the material and the energy world is different realms? I go, illusion. Why? Because if you take the atom fully apart, oh yeah, there's small things, protons, neutrons, electrons. Oh yeah, smaller, a quark is smaller. I said, but if you get to the smallest ones, the building blocks of an atom, energy vortices, energy nanotornadoes. An atom is made out of energy, an energy that spins like a tornado. It's a force energy. And the relevance about that is that matter is an illusion of energy, okay? Everything is energy. Consciousness is energy. And the relevance about that was, what hit me in my research was a very simple fact. We cannot exchange organs and cells with one another. I can't put a kidney into my friend Sue because her immune system would look at the transplant and say, not self, and the immune system will destroy it. You can't put your cells into another person's body because their immune system will say, not self, and destroy it. Point. The immune system sees physical things, viruses, bacteria, parasites. What is it looking at when it says my cells and my body are different than your cells in your body? No two people have the same self. I don't. What does that represent? On the surface of your cells that have nuclei, which excludes the red blood cells. That's why we can transplant red blood cells showing A, B, and O. Uh, but there's no self. It's the cells of the nucleus. On the surface, they have proteins called receptors. Receptors, receivers, okay? I say no two people in the whole world have the same set of receptors called self receptors. I go, so what? Well, they were misnamed for some other reason, but the name is accurate because they were receiving a signal, quantum physics, an energy field. These antennas, proteins, respond to energy fields. Your antennas of self respond to a different energy field than your neighbor, your kid, your parent, me, Sue. We all have our own set of these antennas. No two people in the whole world have the same set. And yet they're downloading a signal matching the receptors. Each of us is downloading an identity. I go, from where? The field. Definition field, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. Definition of spirit, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. Science of quantum physics recognizes spirituality as an energy field. And I go, so why is it relevant? And the answer is this. Consider the body as a television set. A set of antennas are downloading a program from the field called self. Your vibration download is different than anybody else's. Nobody's got the same vibration. I go, so why? Well, if we're watching a TV and it breaks, we say TV is dead. I go, yep, it's not working. Question, when the TV broke, did the broadcast disappear? No. Broadcast is always here. It's not part of the TV. It's downloaded into the TV. So if your TV body dies, your broadcast of self is still there. And then what? If an embryo in the future shows up with the same set of receptors that you have now, you're back, but in a different TV. Doesn't make a difference if it's a male or female TV. I go, no, that's the TV. That's not you. You're the broadcast. Doesn't make a difference if it's black, white, red, brown, yellow. I go, no, that's the TV. That's not you. You are the broadcast. All of a sudden I say, you are immortal. You cannot die. You're not even in here. You're playing through here and manifesting your spiritual wishes and desires, except when the programs get in the way. And the relevance about that is don't wait till you're dead to go to heaven. You are here and now. Take your power back. Be in love. And being in love allows you to manifest the heaven that we were given and enjoy it while you're in this wonderful body. And I'll give you one last thing about that body. It has sensation. Yep. Spirit has awareness. Oh, okay. Spirit, give me a definition of love. Blah, 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 blah. Go, good definition. Spirit, what does love feel like? Oh, it doesn't know. Why? It's the physical human body that translates experiences into sensation. And that sensation of love and fear and anger and all those kind of things is a manifestation of the cells. It didn't come from a spirit. So while you're in body, you get to manifest the experiences, the emotions, the joy of what life is about. And this is a gift. And people say, wait till you're dead. I go, too late. Do it here.
Yeah.
And if you need some instruction, my friend Sue's got them for you.
You know, Bruce, you're putting so much beauty together between science and spirituality, and I love that all the greats of all of time have always moved towards spirituality, even when they didn't want to. By the end of their lives, by the fulfillment of their destinies, they always move to an embrace of spiritual concepts, and to embody them becomes a focal point in their lives. And I so appreciate that you're not waiting until the end to do that, that
Wow.
you are putting those pieces together and walking and talking and living and breathing in such beautiful ways. I know that you have had a health challenge recently, and people have,
Yes.
been asking questions about that and wanting to know. And I would just love for you to share whatever you would like to share.
Yes.
And I know that we spoke a little bit beforehand. I not putting Bruce on the spot, anyone. He said, "Hey, go wherever you want to go." I know that our audience would deeply appreciate
Yes.
what you do on the inside to implement and apply the brilliance that you have uncovered, and to allow for that to be a healing tool and mechanism that that awakes you up and heals you as you implement,
Yes.
the details of what you're sharing today. Even, can
I,
you?
I learned something else in the epigenetic story that we should all know, and that is there is no gene that causes cancer. There's no gene. I have this gene, I'm going to get cancer. Nope. Uh, uh, Cancer is a 90% right now. It's all lifestyle, but also negative programming. And that 99% of cancer isn't even connected to any genes at all. And I go, so why is this important to me? Well, a couple of years back, about 2.5 years ago, I was having a problem with headaches and hearing, and I went to an ear, nose, and throat ENT doctor, and he was examining me. Then he looked down my throat, and then he got very serious. He got very serious and looked at me and said, "Bruce, you have cancer." And in my mind, I went, "Oh." That's actually what I said to him. I said, "Oh." And he waited. Because when he tells people they have cancer, that's always followed with, "Oh, fear, death," and all I said was, "Oh." And he was waiting for me to, and the reason why I said, "Oh," and didn't get any response is because biology of belief, epigenetics, is the story of what controls my cells. So if I had cancer, I wasn't thinking I'm a victim of some genes that went crazy. I had to find out what in my belief caused the cancer. So it was a tongue cancer. Why a tongue? You can get lung cancer, it's easier, maybe, or prostate cancer or something, Why tongue?
Yeah.
Because my consciousness says this. For 20 years, Bruce, you've been holding on to an understanding of science that completely undermines Darwinian theory of evolution, which is negatively impacting our planet with the competition. But for 20 years, I would say to myself, "Oh, who am I? I'm just Bruce, not Darwin." Okay, so I started just lecturing more and lecturing more. And then now I had an excuse. I'm not writing a book because I'm lecturing. And the universe said, "Shut up." I said, "Huh? Tongue cancer. No speaking. Now. Over. My tongue wasn't working. What was the point? Write the damn book." I finished the book recently. In the process of writing a book, interim process, scans reveal that what started as a malignant cancer became a benign cancer. When the book was finished, my last scan, which was only about 2 weeks ago, said there is no more cancer. And all of a sudden, it's like, yes, biology of belief. I wasn't paying attention. My mind was telling me, "Bruce, you have something to do. Pay attention." And I kept saying, "Yeah, later, later." And the body said, "No, now."
Yeah. That's good.
And now is Beyond Darwin, the book, August 18th, which is how we can go from a Darwinian world of competition and move into the planetary garden of cooperation by changing our belief system. I'm not asking you to take drugs, chemistry, take any exercise course or anything. I just want you to understand it's all up here in our head. And
Yeah.
if we can change the program, then we can have our own personal lives back. And I went from cancer to freedom by responding to that. And it's interesting because for years, people who have read the biology belief, I'm telling you, a lot of them have come up to me and said, Bruce, your book, Biology Belief, is so helpful. I had cancer and I cured it myself. No chemo, no radiation. And I used to tell them, well, good. You know why? Because of your experience, you are now a teacher because you can help other people with cancer and say, don't buy in to the victim, that you can change this, you can do this. You are now an experienced teacher. Now I have to have the cancer so I can be the experienced teacher myself and say, yep, it started with malignant cancer, became awareness, became benign cancer, fulfilled the insight, and has become a gone cancer.
Oh, beautiful. I remember talking with you in Phoenix, in Scottsdale, and we were talking about this, and we were working together a little bit, and you know, implementing some things that I grew up with, and that I was sharing with you in terms of my research, et cetera. And we were like, "Go home, Bruce, and write that book, darn it, because this needs
Well, I did a little
to
bit more
get
than
that."
that. I wanna, emphasize there's 2 parts to the book, part 1, part 2. Part 1, the science of a new theory of evolution not based on genes. The theory of evolution based on consciousness. That's what the driving force of
Yeah.
evolution is on. Part 2 is significant lifestyle influences that you must pay attention to, take your power back. One of those, and dealing with nutrition, and this is another connection I have with Sue, is uh, my trace minerals were
Uh,
not very high.
yeah.
Why? The nutrition is not coming from the food we eat if it comes from industrial farming. It will fill you up. You'll feel satisfied. I ate dinner. I'm not hungry. Question: did you get any benefit from the food you ate? The
Right.
nutritional value of conventional industrial farm food is virtually not there. And so, one of my daily regimens every morning when I take my vitamin C mega dose and my vitamin D dose, I would add the necessary minerals that I get from where? Ah, from Dr. Sue. Her nutrient minerals, essential minerals. I don't know the name of the product off my head. It's in the jar,
Yeah.
bottled, little
The
drop of
trace minerals. Yeah.
trace
Trace
minerals
minerals. Yeah.
were an influential part of my healing because if you're short of those minerals, those are fundamental keys in activating the chemistry of your body. And
Mhm.
without those minerals, you're in a need, and the system is not functioning fully. So, in addition to changing my diet very significantly, the trace minerals are part of my morning exercise every day. And so I need to thank Sue, who offers those minerals. Uh, I'm plugging them. Why? Because I now recognize through my consciousness the relevance of trace minerals following this. And so has become a very important part of my healing strategy. And I highly recommend that these minerals be part of yours. Why? Because they are the key to activate a lot of the chemical reactions in your body. Missing some of these elements will prevent you from engaging in some very fundamental life processes. So, yep, changed my whole diet. Lost, thankfully, got 50 pounds because that 50 pounds was not helping me, my friends. And I feel healthier and happier. I take my vitamins, I take my choice minerals, and I only eat the food at smaller proportions than ever of natural, organic food, not buying into the industrial market, which is selling me satisfied and fed myself, but not feeling any benefit from the lack of nutrition
Mm.
characteristic of industrial farming.
Yeah, beautiful. One last question about your amazing transformation here of, shifting cancer into, just a beautiful expression of living, choosing to live, creating your own reality, and decreasing your response to programming. Um, what about deep inside? Was there any part of you that you tapped into because of this experience with the diagnosis and going through all the things that must have gone through your mind in terms of, how to get a hold of this and shift it?
Yeah.
Was there a part of you that you tapped into that made the whole thing make sense at all?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that
And
that
I'll
you
tell
were
you,
supposed to discover this part of you and this is how you did it?
well, it's fundamental to the resolution, okay? And I'll say what? There are two minds. Conscious mind wishes, desires, creative mind.
Yeah.
Subconscious mind programs. Education can enhance the awareness of the conscious mind, which I had. I was
Yeah.
teaching it.
Yeah.
I was teaching what I knew.
You're right up there.
The issue is, unless you take that programming in the conscious mind and make it programming in the subconscious mind, it would probably not have too much of an effect because 95% of your life is coming from the subconscious. So, whatever awareness I was holding in this mind of the intelligence of the system and how it works and epigenetics and all that, if I didn't download it and say, wait, I have to make a behavior out of it, not just an awareness, but manifest a program to match that awareness, it was taking the power back. It was very important. I even had to learn it. Why? I was teaching it for 30 or 40 years,
Yeah.
but some of it I had to really begin to download. I had downloaded previously my ability to have relationships, and that's how I ended up with my partnership with Margaret. But I didn't download the relevance to my everyday eating habits and my nutritional activities and all that.
Mm.
It was up here, but never part of my program. But once I said, wait, I got to live by this program, then I took the power back. And I think that's really critical because we can have all the best educated conscious minds in the world, but if we don't employ that education,
Yeah.
it's nice, but it's no help at
Right.
all, and
Right.
to me, that was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Take what I was aware of, but make a life out of it.
Yeah. Implement, live into it, embody it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. So has there been a feeling that rises up in you now that you feel is a guidance in your life in some way that is different? Is there a felt sense that you can put your finger on or name in any way?
Well, the felt sense is I'm still here when the conventional doctor, when the oncologist, when they looked at me and said, "Okay, well, Bruce, there's a couple things we can do here. One, we can cut your tongue out." And I go, right away, I said,
Mm.
I'd rather die with my tongue in my mouth than to cut it out, so I let that go. Then he said, "Well, the, radiation and chemotherapy," and I have to give you an honest insight, it kills the cells that already have the cancer. Does radiation and chemotherapy prevent cancer? No. No, it kills the cells that already got the cancer. It doesn't in any way, imply how the cells got the cancer. And so chemo and radiation may hold you back from immediate death, but it doesn't in any way stop a cancer,
Right.
especially when cancer is recognized as a lifestyle and belief programming issue. Very simply, they followed the fate of infants adopted into families where there was cancer running in that family.
Yeah.
The adopted infant would end up with the same family cancer as natural sibling, except the adopted infant came from totally different genetics.
Mm,
The cancer was a program.
mm.
It wasn't genetics.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. It's amazing. We are creators, and
Yes.
accepting that the magnitude of that statement is really a life project. It's really a life project to embrace, to just allow that to be as true as it actually is, and to find our way to download, as you're saying, to embody, as I'm saying, that principle into real life choices and feelings about self and ways that we engage in life. It allows us to set ourselves free when we do so. So thank you, Bruce, for being here today. I know we've kept you longer than I said we
Oh,
would,
I
but
I
we
am
can't
I got
not.
more another 10 or 11 hours, but we had to compress it. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go again for a longer period of time in a different
Well,
setting.
I
We'll do.
look forward to sharing the stage with you every time
Oh,
because
that's
I
awesome.
know that we are uplifting civilization and humanity by knowledge. Knowledge is power,
Yeah,
and we offer the public the power to take their lives in their hands.
yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you so, so much. And thank you for coming on the show today. For our listeners, you can pre order Dr. Bruce Lipton's brand new book, Beyond Darwin. It's coming out this August, and you can find his books, his events, and his educational resources through the link in the show notes and where books are sold. Of course, please go out and grab this book because our society needs it.
I
And
hope you would get a pre-order because I
yeah,
wanna make it a New York Times bestseller.
yeah,
Why?
yeah,
Because Sue and I talk to our community, people who are awakening, people who are looking for this, but there's a larger community where none of the stuff that Sue and I are talking about ever penetrates
right,
that world.
right.
So my hope is if, and the idea is New York Times bestseller is very much based on pre-sales, and if I can get it big enough, then people on the outside that haven't been listening to Sue and I might pick up this book and with interest become part of our community, the one you're in right
Yes.
now.
When that collective consciousness grows big enough, we hit a critical mass where we can actually have an impact on the whole bandwidth of human consciousness. And so we need more people knowing these things that we're speaking about. So
Yeah.
don't just go pre-order one book, order two or three and tell your friends to do the same to get
It's a
out
very good
there.
it's
Yeah.
a very good read. It's
Yeah.
very interesting because it's all about you.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, thank you again, Bruce. I love you so much. Thank you for being who you are and for living into this in the beautiful ways that you do. And I want to thank our listeners for spending time with us today on the Art of Awakening podcast, where we're always blending science and spirituality and redefining what it means to be human and to uplift our potential into the truth of what it is meant to be. We're here so that you can create a life that you truly love living. And so until next time, I'm Dr. Sue Morter. Blessings, blessings to you all. Bye bye for now.